Where do you even start with this, ladies and gentlemen? Had a busy weekend. Been at Wales over the weekend. Been working today. Came back late tonight. Didn't manage to catch the second half of the game. This is what we're going to speak about, by the way, and plenty more. So I went back and watched it. Listened to some analysis, some really, really good analysis. Watched the show back that the lads did, Sam and Trey. I thought they made some excellent points. And I was just kind of sat there and my head just started doing a little bit of overtime. Just started thinking about a load of things about United, about the past few years, about how we keep getting let down and all this kind of stuff. And it started doing a bit of a snowball effect in my head. And then I just had to come in and get some shit off my chest. And as you can see, it says Monday in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. It's not Monday. It's still technically Sunday night. It's 10 to 12. But I'm calling it Monday just because, I mean, look, it's basically 9 minutes away from it. So I'm not waiting. We need to get this off our chest. And I've got to be up early. But I just thought, you know what? This absolutely has to be said. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are feeling the exact same way. Whether it's at this time, whether it's in the morning, whether it's later on in the week. Myself, personally, I am sick of changing managers. I'm sick of buying new players, listening to old promises, and failing to deliver consistently season in and season out. Now, people might think this is a little bit reactionary for a draw against Fulham or let's say a result against Arsenal, which didn't really reflect the performance. And loads of us were positive after that, saying if you can maintain that again, great, fantastic. There's something there to jump on. But again, I'm sick of the PR packages that we kind of get force-fed during the summer. That everything's changed now. The players are happier. Out with the old, in with the new. This manager's the guy. We're going to back him. We're going to spend £200 million on the attackers. And you're going to see a brand new team this season. That's what he told us, right? And after the game against Monday, you can kind of buy into that, little bits of it. You can see, 20-plus shots against Arsenal, dominated the game. The new kind of attacking players look bright, and there was something there that you can grab onto. I admit that. Go and watch my review after the game. I was there. But football changes, opinion changes, and you get put back into reality in certain situations. And I feel like straight after that Fulham game, I'm looking at that Fulham team that lined up at the start of the game, and I'm like, if we don't beat that team, there's no progression here. There just isn't. Yeah, Fulham are all right team, mid-table. They are a mid-table team, 9th, 10th best. They haven't bought anyone. They've not spent any money this summer. They've not improved. We have. We've spent 200 million, which they could only fucking dream of spending. And when we talk about money, how have we spent, and get on this, right? Really listen to this. How have we spent almost £1 billion with two managers? I think Ten Hag spent 600, 700 million. Ruben Amorim's probably spent around £250 million, right? With Dorgu and all the rest of the signings. Call it what you want. But it's not far away from £1 billion. And the midfield is still getting ran through. To this day, as someone famous would just say, to this day, the midfield is still getting ran through. Bruno Fernandes does not suit this system as a midfielder. It is just plain and clear to see. He also had, which didn't help, one of his worst games I've ever seen in a Man United shirt. Horrendous. Really, really bad. And Bruno, when he's going really good and he's on top of the world and his positivity is great. If he has a moment that happened in the game, like that penalty, destroys him for the rest of the game then, because he's over-emotional. That's when you see the bad side of him. Casemiro hasn't been great for a few years, since his first season at United and his days at Real Madrid. Just hasn't, and hasn't got the legs anymore. Yes, he's dropped off a bit of weight, he looks a bit leaner, but there's only so much you can do. Age hits us all, right? And Casemiro, especially when you play in the two, in the middle, it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. Gary Neville said it after the game. In central midfield, I think United have to do a piece of business now. They're going to need to get something sorted because it's going to be a problem. And this is why Man United were going to push the ball out on Carlos Baleba. This is why they was going to go spend, call it 80 to 90 million pounds. Now, obviously, Brighton want 110, 115, so they weren't going to do that. And I think A lot of United fans applauded that at the time. It's like, I get it. I understand it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't go spend the money, though, on a certain amount of money on the midfielder, because it is so clear to see we need someone in there. Iwobi and Marco Silva spoke after the game, and they put it like this. We knew how they defended. We knew they like to squeeze from the back five. And if you don't give bodies for them to squeeze from the back five, you can create superiority in the middle, overloading them. We know they played with two in the middle. We tried to overload with our three players plus Alex. It was as simple as that. That's a manager and a player telling you tactically how easy it was. Because the first 10, 15 minutes, Fulham struggled a little bit. As soon as they sussed it out, that was it then. Back to an even playing field. Simple as that. This time last year with Erik ten Hag, you will all remember this, what I'm about to reference. When we played them, it was one of the first games of the season. I think they beat us 3-0 at Old Trafford. Absolutely ran through us. Arne Slot did the exact same thing what Marco Silva's just done and broke down his style of play. From shifting from a man-marking system to a winger-based pressed system. More compact 4-4-2 shape. And then when they got the players on it 1v1, they absolutely killed us. Because Casemiro couldn't cope with it and the fullbacks couldn't cope with the demand either. And the aggressive one-on-one that we had with Luis Diaz or Salah or whoever it was who was dropping in there. And it left United vulnerable to quick counter-attacks, and they killed us in that game. And the manager came down, and the way he explained it was a lot better than the way I've just explained it. Because I am not a UEFA A coach or whatever the fuck, B coach, whatever the license is. I haven't got it, obviously. But you don't need a tactical expert to see it on the pitch. You know what's happening. You can see it from a mile off. So that begs the question, why are we spending £200 million on the attack to put one of the best 10s in the league in midfield, which is a square peg in a round hole, which clearly does not fit? Clearly does not fit. And after 2 games, we're spending this giant pot of money, 200 million on the attack. After 2 games, you scored 1 goal, and it was an own goal. So none of your players have scored after 2 games. That is worrying. That is seriously worrying. Brian Mbeumo had 6 touches in that second half yesterday. And obviously it's going to get to a point. Brian Mbeumo and Cunha are not bad players. They are top elite level players. You saw that from the glimpses that you've seen. And they'll need a bit of time to bed in and work the angles and get the patterns of play. I get that. I understand it. But how long before you give it 4 weeks, Mbeumo flop signing, Cunha flop signing, Sesko's another Højlund? The pressure is going to mount week by week. Excuse the pun. But it will. 6 touches in the second half. He scored 20 goals last season. 27 goal involvements. And he's not getting a sniff at the minute. Obviously, he kind of got the assist for the goal, but, I mean, you're clutching at straws there. In actual fact, the only player who created a big chance was Bayern to Cunha. He's the only player. Cunha should have scored, by the way. Did extremely well to bring it out the sky. Great first touch, but he should be burying that. He should be burying that. And it's a different game. If Bruno buries that penalty, probably a different game. And it looked like it was going to be a great assist from Bayern. Distribution, spot on. Not a problem. Made some really, really good saves from the clips that I watched back. Again, I didn't watch the full second half in its purity, so I may miss a couple of bits. But one thing I did see with Altay Bayern, whenever Fulham had a corner, he was like Samuel Tarley at Castle Black. He was absolutely flapping at every moment. He was Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer. He was Mr. Bean in a church. He is an absolute liability. And do you know what? The worst thing is? You can't pick between the two. Who's worse, Bayern or Onana? They're both shit. We've got 2 of the worst keepers in the league. Genuinely. That we spent 50 odd million quid on. Both absolutely crap. Every time they had a corner, any team that looks like that now, you just target it. You just take it into a corner or boot it off a player just for the sake of it. It's almost like having a penalty against us. That's how bad we are at defending them. So poor. So poor. One of our brightest and youngest prospects, Kobbie Mainoo, can't get a minute over Manuel Ugarte. And anyone with a fucking magnifying glass, anyone who watches football, anyone who's been watching football for 6 months would be able to pick out that Kobbie Mainoo is a much better player than Manuel Ugarte. Now, I understand the game has demands and a certain way it's flowing. And maybe, again, I missed something because I wasn't able to watch the 45 minutes in its entirety. Maybe I did miss something. But again, you go down a goal. They equalise, through Smith Rowe. You need a goal in the game. And you're bringing on players like Aiden Heaven and Harry Maguire and Manuel Ugarte. Now, Maguire was a saviour quite a lot of times last season. I understand that to a certain extent. But when you've got a young star like Kobbie Mainoo, who, yes, he might not fit the system, but in the last 15 minutes of the game, is it not worth a fucking roll of the dice? Really? Someone of his ability? Someone who's proved it again before in a Lyon game? He's done it against Wolves, against Liverpool. Like, he has those moments, and you're not trusting him. And he's talking about he needs to compete with Bruno Fernandes. That's his direct competitor in that role. Well, he's never going to get a minute then, is he? Unless it's Grimsby, who we play on Wednesday. He's never going to get a minute on that pitch if he's competing with Bruno Fernandes. Because Bruno Fernandes is the captain, he's available every single game, and even when he's dropping a stinker, like he did today, is it yesterday? Or technically yesterday now, 12:55. Even when he drops a stinker, still doesn't rotate him. It's a problem. It's a big, big problem. And Amorim, as much as I like the guy, as much as I can see certain signs of improvement, there has to be question marks. 17 wins, 9 draws, and 18 losses at Man United. 17 wins, 9 draws, and 18 losses. 1.36 points per match. You're talking Graham Potter territory here. This is where we're at. Tottenham have just brought in Thomas Frank as the manager, who loads of people turned their nose up at when we got linked with him. I wasn't one of them because I know Thomas Frank is a class manager. Loads of people turned their nose up at him. 2 wins already, scored 5 goals, kept 2 clean sheets, beat Man City, by the way, doing that pretty comfortably, and he's just walked through the door. So what's Ruben Amorim's excuse now? I think we need to be honest with ourselves. We have to stop making excuses now. He's got to start picking up points against these teams. We play Burnley next. If he doesn't beat Burnley, I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to be that guy. But let me just leave it at this. Credit is running out quickly. Very, very quickly. Give him the benefit of the doubt last season, because last season was a shit show. He came in mid-season. He didn't have a pre-season, whatever. He's had a pre-season now. He spent 200 million quid. To me, it doesn't seem like it's working. We started the season with 1 loss, 1 draw, and 1 goal scored. And 2 goals conceded. Do not stick with a manager because he speaks well, because he's charming, because you like him, because you bought into this new project, because you bought into this new dream, because dreams can come crumbling down. Just like it did with all the other managers at this club. There is a certain level of expectation, and we are under-delivering on every single level at the minute. Every single level. Can you honestly sit there and comfortably say, when we play Burnley, I know we play Grimsby in the Cup, but you've got to win that, Jesus Christ. But can you honestly sit there with yourself now, whilst you're watching this, whoever it is, and convince yourself that you're going to beat Burnley, that you're absolutely positive that you're going to beat them, that there's not a chance of a slip-up, that you don't think they're going to give us a good game, that we're going to score loads of goals, that you're going to know who the goalkeeper's going to be, that you're not worried about that midfield? Honestly, Man United feel like a broken record. They feel like the dad that you waiting to turn up at a football practice and it's just never there. You know? Just waiting for something to happen. One day it'll happen. And it won't. It's the same shit every year. I know people might come to the conclusion at the end of the show, they might think, oh, shut up, you're being fucking reactionary or whatever it is. I'm not. I just don't want to make excuses for the players, for the managers anymore. That Fulham team is average. Bang average. They have no superstar players. They've got a couple of good quality players in Smith Rowe, Iwobi. How much money have they spent on their team? I bet if you added it all up, it's probably about 80 million, max. We spent double that on our attack this season. You've got Mount, Bruno, Ahmad, Mbumo, Cunha, Sesko, Yoro, De Ligt, Dorgu, who looked exciting pre-season. And you're not winning games. If you're not winning games, I don't care who you are, I don't care how charming you are, I don't care how good you are with the press, with the fans. It does not matter to me. Football is about winning and getting points on the board. and starting the season well, and we haven't done that. So the jury is out for me with Ruben Amorim. It really, really is. I'm not saying sack him. I'm not at that point just yet, but it's fucking close. It is fucking close. Let us know your thoughts and feelings. I know some of you guys watched the review after the game anyway with Shreyas and Sam. Just had to get that off my chest. Speak to you guys tomorrow.